Shock Monkey Radio is entertainment for adults, by adults, and the views and opinions expressed here do not reflect upon the sponsors or FXBG Public Radio. For additional information, please refer to the United States Bill of Rights. Stand warned.
Tune to madness, dial the rage. World's a jungle, stage by stage. Shock Monkey Radio. Feel the static, let it go. Monkey Radio. Twist the dial and lose control.
Okay, so last week, I was trying to think of a name for the show last week, and so I asked AI, I was like, I have a couple ideas and a name for the show. I was thinking Cruel Summer, was it Funny and Dangerous, and Funnel Cake with Tom Cruise. And AI suggested Funnel Cake with Tom Cruise is the winner. That's the one. It's most you. It's most similar to the other titles of your channel. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go with it, but I kind of want to argue. I kind of wanted to argue with AI about it. Say, hey, it sounds more like a vlog that Tom Cruise does. It's like, welcome back to Funnel Cake with Tom Cruise, where we try all of the best carnival food from all over the world. I'm your host, Tom Cruise. Today I'm at the Kentucky State Fair and we're trying a candied apple. I wanted to argue with that with the AI, but I don't think AI would understand what I mean by that. I don't know, AI can't really make those kinds of connections, so I don't know. What am I going to name it today? Am I going to name this show Candy Apples with Tom Cruise? I don't know. I think I ran my Tom Cruise limit for the year. Welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. I am your host, the Madman. I wasn't feeling too good yesterday, not quite 100% today. It was I'm sure you care, but it was a tummy problem that's now turned into a butt problem. I'll let you figure out what I mean on your own. So if I have to run out of here and knock over a light at any moment, don't take it personally. And we'll do it like a 5-minute limit, because if I need to run out of here, it's going to be quick. So anyway, I'm sure you care. Yeah, I have a Patreon. Please go after that wonderful pitch. You get content like this. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. I'd very much appreciate it. Or you can send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio, all one word. And you can follow me on social media up there at the top. I have to do the, begging for money and so forth. I have to do it. I don't like to get too into the gimme money, please conversation, but I have been so frustrated with Opus Clip lately. I don't know if you know, I've been putting out those shorter clips with subtitles and so forth, and maybe get more exposure for the channel and just make you laugh, really. And so I paid for the $60 a month deal, which gives me 600 credits per month. And so, and basically every minute of like this show that I want to clip is like 1 credit. So if I want to do a 3-minute clip, so it gets on shorts and so forth, it's 3 credits. And you think, well, that's a lot. And I was like, yeah, it is. So I had a lot left over. And it's because I've discovered this new feature in Opus Clip called Script to Video, and I have tons of things written down. Tons and tons and tons of things written down that I could feed into AI. And as you may know, if you look on the videos channel, you'll see that I've done a couple like script to AI things. I did one for The Greatest American Hero, and I did one for my Big Trouble in Little China 2 teaser trailer. And they didn't turn out as great as I'd hoped. There's many reasons, because my writing can be verbose at times and somewhat obscure, not obscure, or unclear with its metaphors and so forth, but yeah, and so it kind of frustrated me. I was hoping to get the video to play in the background, but that didn't work. I tried, it didn't work. But if you want to go watch it, see the Greatest American Hero video I did, and the Big Trouble in Little China 2, you can go check it out. But I mean, here's the thing: is like that cost me so much. It was like Big Trouble in Little China one. I think that was like $400. No, wait. Yeah, the Greatest American Hero one was like $400. It was like $500 for the credits for the Big Trouble in Little China. And that's a lot. That's a lot for a 3-minute video and a 6-minute video. And I'm so frustrated because I have volumes of things that could be converted into AI, and I'm just like, please, please, just give me unfettered access to this amazing technology. You know, I could say all day, follow a link in the description to buy my books, but nobody's reading books anymore. They're not even watching like full hour-long videos anymore. They're not even watching my short movie clips anymore. Everyone's watching reels. Everyone's watching the short content. Everyone's ADD has become insane. All right? And if you like clicked on my video just to watch, I bet you haven't even made this far because your ADD is just like, oh, well, I need to do something else. Frustrating as hell. But you need to give someone like me unfettered access to AI. And until Opus Clips just says, okay, you have unlimited access to our tools, until they say that, which I don't think they ever will, please send me money. Patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. There's no real image for this. We'll get to the Hussars, don't worry. I was thinking about, like, what if I haunted my house? And here's what, like, got me along this train of thought. In my bathroom, there's a handprint on the wall. It's my handprint because when I go number one, I put my hand there. Sometimes it's like if you're at your workplace, I'll get handprints there too. Like when I was in the Navy, there's this one urinal in the building, and I always used that one. And eventually, a handprint started appearing there because I was always peeing that way. And I was thinking, it's like, oh, there's also like a handprints near my light switch in my room because I'm frequently intoxicated when I go in there and flip the switch, so I miss, you know. And so there's a handprints there. And I was, what else would there be if I had haunted, when I haunt my house, if and when I haunt my house? I suppose there'd be, the handprints. Obviously, you'd paint over them. It'd be like that one Night Gallery episode where you can't paint over it. It's the shadows on the wall or something like that. But the handprint still shows up. It's like the ghost of the madman is still peeing all the time. You still must be drinking beers. You thought, what was that? It sounded like a beer can cracking open. Handprints back on the wall. We got to repaint the bathroom. Maybe you hear muted belching. Sudden farts. Maybe you hear like a coughing fit or even sneezing fits. This invasive smell of cigarettes everywhere. In the middle of the night, the bathroom light will flip on and off, as if madman had to get up in the middle of the night to pee. Cold spots. And I know exactly where the cold spots would be, because it's where I hang out and where there's always fans pointing at me. Like years from now, once the house is resold, I'm dead and gone, and the house has been resold, they've repainted the bathroom, and the handprints don't come back for a couple weeks, but there'd be these cold spots where I was always sitting and the fans were always pointed at me. What would I do if I haunted a house? I don't know, my house. There'd be nothing. I mean, I'd be bored shitless being a ghost. That would be the problem, like being a ghost. It's like you'd have to wait for the people to come home to watch. Just like, put on a movie. Please put on a movie. Please put on a movie. No, don't use your earbuds. Oh, I want to hear it. At least put on subtitles. Like when TVs first came out and like there weren't any like headphones and stuff like that. Ghosts must have liked that. It was like, oh, I'll get to watch them All in the Family or something. But not today. You get to watch somebody else watching a movie you cannot hear. It must suck to be a ghost. Glad I don't believe in them. Ah, hell. I just clicked out of it. All right, so I was thinking about the Polish wing Hussars, as you see behind me. Don't worry, they're static. They haven't moved, have they? No reason to be scared of them. I've been looking at this picture all day, so I'm kind of used to it by now. So I'm not really afraid. But making people afraid is what these Polish wing Hussars. That was everything about them. That was trying to make people afraid. And you can look at their armor and the wings and stuff like that. They say that seems kind of silly. I was like, okay, fine. But frequently those wings are often attached to the horse, which is a smart move, obviously. And so, yeah, the Polish winged Hussars, they were like from 16th to the 18th century, pretty nasty dudes. They're elite heavy shock cavalry of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, and they wore distinctive wings for intimidation and noise. Now, the reason why they did that is because if you're a heavy cavalry, it is almost impossible to sneak up on as heavy cavalry, because you're loud. You got a bunch of armor, a bunch of weapons. The horses are armored. It's loud, so they say, screw it, we're going all in on the loud, and that's what the wings are for. They probably rattle to make a bunch of noise to terrify people that the heavy cavalry was on its way. Cavalry? Cavalry. I think I got it, cavalry. Yeah, so they use long lances, and they were often useful in breaking infantry and cavalry formations because they had longer reach, and so forth. But it was also the 16th to 18th century, so it was also the era where firearms started coming into play. And sometimes, like a flintlock or a matchlock pistol, may break through armor. But, the fact the advent of gunpowder becoming more and more available, it kind of ruins like heavy cavalry like this. All right, so they compiled an extraordinary record. These Polish winged Hussars, at the Battle of Kirchholm in 1605, roughly 3,500 Poles, including Hussars, crushed over 11,000 Swedes with minimal losses. In 1610, at the Battle of Klushino, a few thousand Hussars helped defeat a much larger Russian-Swedish force. And the Battle of Vienna in 1683, a few thousand winged Hussars led what is often called the largest cavalry charge in history, helping shatter the Ottoman siege. They dominated for centuries in Europe as Europe's premier heavy cavalry until changing warfare reduced their edge, like firearms and so forth. And so, I was thinking about, I had a dream that I was, running through a real, a plateau, and I was being hit by arrows by a bunch of Mongols on horseback, and I'm dying. I'm down on the ground, my face down on the ground, and I'm dying. I'm bleeding out, and I got all these arrows in me, Mongol arrows in me. And I look around, and all I see are horse hooves running around me. I was like, oh, please don't step on me, you evil horses. You evil horses. And I started thinking, it's like, we need to start talking about the most dangerous cavalry in history, because horses are evil, obviously. And then you take man and put it on top of it. Also, speaking of creatures that can be evil, horses are all evil. Humans can be evil. That's the difference between us and horses. We can choose. And so if you take a bunch of evil people, not saying that the Polish were evil for doing this, but if you take a bunch of evil people and you start to take control of the horses, like, say, example, if I had a Lex Luthor, and Lex Luthor goes, oh, how do I defeat the madman? And the madman is like, oh, okay, I'm going to start breeding crazier and crazier horses. I'm going to maybe put some scary men on top of it and, heavy armor, like modern armor, like ride armor or something. I don't know. How would you make a modern cavalry? And so I was thinking, if it's going to haunt my dreams, it's going to haunt yours too. So, Polish winged Hussars. You interested in history? You interested in things like currency and coins? I find all these things fascinating. Let's talk about the coin of the week. So we're hanging out in Malta still, which I have been corrected is a normal size. Has normal sized people and normal sized houses, even if it's a tiny island. Okay, so we're talking about Maltese quarter, and not a falcon, a Maltese quarter. It's 0% lucky. Haven't been getting very lucky with the old scratchers lately. Malta 25-cent piece. The obverse side, or heads, left and right, that has a coat of arms of Malta, a shield with a George cross on the left half and vertical stripes on the right, topped by a mural crown, flanked by olive and palm branches with a ribbon. Malta is above, and the date 1990. It says 5 in here. It's 93 though. It's 93. Hey, I got something wrong. What else did it get wrong? All right. A spring foliage. Oh, this is the tail side, reverse side. A sprig of foliage, likely a plant or flower motif, consistent with Maltese coin designs of the period, with the denomination 25 cents at the bottom. The coin appears silver-colored, cupro-nickel, circular, and had beaded reeded edge border. The background Malta used the Maltese lira until it adopted the euro in 2008. We mentioned this last week. 25-cent coin is part of the second decimal series introduced in the 80s and 1990s. These coins were circulating currently until the euro conversion, typical design of Maltese coins from that era. Yeah, in the 70s, Maltese coins were octagonal. I wish I had some of those. Anyway, the reverse side shows the national coat of arms, and the reverse shows local flora, fauna, or other cultural symbols. That's the general thing of the coin. All like the coat of arms is on all the head side of all the coins. Approximate value, it doesn't say. Examples from 95 generally worth face value or small, premium to collectors, but I did look it up on eBay. It's about, I don't know, you can get one for like $2, you know. And so, but this was given to me by a friend, which has far more meaning than just buying it off of eBay. Yeah, so sorry about the confusion about Malta last week. I thought maybe it was like a Smurf village is the joke that my friend keeps telling me. No, it's not like a Smurf village. We got regular sized cars and stuff like that. It's like, oh, interesting. And so, like, would there have been height requirements to get it? Like, you're too tall to get a driver's license in Malta? Anyway. My mind's always going, and sometimes even if it has wrong information, it just keeps going with it. Anyway, there's a lot of people going, oh, it all makes sense. Anyway, that's the coin of the week. All right, I'll do a movie review, and then we'll do the news worth knowing. I may axe one of the news stories. We'll get to that when I get to it. Anyway, so the movie review today is a movie I watched for the second time last night called Don Verdean, 2015 movie. Now, when it comes to movies about religion and so forth, and Christianity in particular, there's a real cynicism about it all when it comes to what Hollywood, how Hollywood thinks about religion and the religious, especially Christianity. And I don't know if you've seen Bill Maher's Religulous or whatever like that. That's why I hate that guy. It's just so adamant about that. No way. No way. And I was like, okay, man. And so Hollywood has a real cynicism about it. They think people who believe in God are, dupes, stupid, and so forth. And like, you believe in this make-believe man in the sky gives you what you want. And it's like, actually, he doesn't give us what we want. That's why we're always talking to him. If he gave us what we want, we would never talk to him. That's kind of the point. That's how you draw closer to him. Anyway, however, despite the cynicism, there are some things I think are, fairly fair to like Christianity and people who believe, even like Judaism, people who believe in, God or heaven or hell and so forth. And that theme keeps coming up, and it keeps coming up in a conversation that Don Verdean, played by Sam Rockwell, and Jermaine Clement, I forget his name in the movie. Anyway, he has a conversation with him. He's like, it's like, you don't want to go to hell, do you? And no. And he goes, he has that thick Israeli accent. He's like, you don't want to go to hell, do you? No. It's like, do you believe in hell? I'm not sure, but I don't take chances. And that kind of theme keeps popping up in the movie. And I think it's interesting. Is like, I'm not sure that there's a heaven or a hell, but I don't take chances. And there's even a scene where Don Verdean is like, robbing a grave of a Israeli professional wrestler with gigantism so he can produce a skull of Goliath. Because that's what Don Verdean does. He gets religious relics and goes and like shows them around to churches and so forth, and gains clout that way. And that's what I mean about the cynicism of it, is that the cynicism is like all these people are charlatans, you know, they don't really believe, they're just trying to make money in this limited market for Christians and so forth. And there are some really rich Christians and so forth, and even Chinese ones, I guess. And so and so it's kind of like a scam after scam after scam. And like the first thing he does, he gets hired by this guy, Tony Lazarus, who is Danny McBride's character in the movie. And he plays this preacher. He used to be like a troublemaker, and he was in a car accident with a hooker with him, and he died, came back to life on the table, and then became Tony Lazarus and started this church and this ministry. He married the hooker. So he wants to get some religious relics so he could, grow his church, gain more interest in the church. And even Danny McBride's character in this movie, it's possible he's a true believer, and it's possible that even Don Verdean's character is a true believer, that he does believe in God and stuff like that. But this is my career. This is what I do for a living. Maybe I got to fake some stuff. Maybe I got to get a fake Goliath skull, But the ante keeps getting upped, and so it becomes, a real mess in his mind. And there's one scene towards the beginning where you get a really good look at Don Verdean's camper. Humble guy, lives humbly. It's not like he has a whole lot of money doing this. And so he's living in a camper, and it has his name written on it, Don Verdean. And below it, it says James 1:8, which is a Bible verse. And if you ask me, this is probably the funniest gag in the movie. Because from the King James Version, James 1:8, it says, "A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways." And it's hilarious. It's hilarious because it fits that character to a T. I find it interesting that there's a way, what's written into the movie is this concept that Jewish people and Christians look down on each other. Jermaine Clement, he's a Jewish guy in this movie, maybe for real, I don't know. But it's interesting because there's this kind of there's a scene where the wife of Danny McBride says, "That stuff doesn't belong over there in Israel. It belongs here in the United States where it belongs." It's like, what are you talking about? And this is the whole point. It's because he's going to Israel. He's going to Israel to dig up these trinkets and so forth, or else it's not going to be convincing. And Israel, I don't know if you know this, but I mean, their relics and stuff are theirs. You wouldn't want Israelis coming and digging up our mass burial grounds that the Indians have. All those mounds we have, and those are fantastic. You should check them out. We wouldn't want them doing that and taking it home, taking it to Israel. Technically, that's ours. It's the same way Israel feels about the relics that remain in Israel. And so, there's all sorts of trouble he can get into with the authorities of Israel and so forth, but there's the conversations between these two factions, the Jews and the Christians, and there's kind of like a looking down on each other kind of thing I don't really like, because, I mean, I know there's a bunch of Christians out there that, look down on Catholics and Jews and so forth, but I mean, we're really all on the same side here. Anyway, the blocking is fantastic. The blocking and the music in this movie are fantastic. Good work by director Jared Hess, famous for Napoleon Dynamite, and Nacho Libre. But if I remember correctly, the blocking in both of those movies was quite good as well. And there's a scene where Will Forte is this other preacher who's a ex-Satanist, and they're doing an announcement. It's oh, we got this new thing, and then all of a sudden Will Forte just pops up and asks a real challenging question, and just ducks down back into the crowd. It's hilarious. Little sight gags like that just let you know it's a comedy. It's a subtle comedy. It's a subtle comedy about religion and so forth. But I think the message is good because eventually, Don Verdean realizes that, hey, I really screwed up here, hurting some people I actually care about. And he makes a confession. Confession is good for the soul. And I think that's maybe a more Catholic thing. But, even as a Baptist, I confess to God, boy, I really screwed that up, God. And he's like, yeah, that was impressive. Impressive how badly you screwed that up. I don't want to use too many jokes because it's funny. But there was one quote that Donnie McBride said as Tony Lazarus in this movie. And when he said it, it's I actually remember that sounds like something Danny McBride would have said back in high school. It was clearly a line, I think, written by Danny McBride. And he gets us like, oh, I'm so confused. My mind is a fog, like Lucifer has farted inside my brain. I can definitely see Danny McBride saying that when we were teenagers. Anyway, 2015 movie Don Verdean, 9 of 13 stars. Rich Chinese Christians. Interesting. Well, if there are such people, my advice would be to get the hell out of China, come to America. All right, come to America where Christians are still not hunted yet. And I'd say that to every other Christian in the world. You need to get to America because I think this may be the place where we have to hold off Islam again. All right, let's get to the news worth knowing. All right, let's talk about the war. Every time I think about so many of these news articles about the war and Trump talking with Iran and so forth, there's so many of them. I just, first thing that pops up in my head is nowadays everybody want to talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move the lips, just a bunch of gibberish, and motherfuckers act like they forgot about Dre. Maybe I should do it in a Trump voice. Nowadays everybody want to talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips, just a bunch of gibberish. Motherfuckers act like they forgot about Dre. We're going to send Dre after you, Iran. Dre! No, not Dre. We're going to send Tyrone, too. We'll find a guy named Tyrone. Not Tyrone, and maybe even Willis. We'll send Willis to come get you. What you talking about? Willis? Anyway. So, talking. You got to get serious with these people. Trump warns Iran will be hit really hard if nuclear negotiations collapse again. I have news for you. They're going to collapse again. The president told Fox News that military action remains on the table if diplomacy fails with Tehran. All right, President Donald Trump renewed his warning to Iran on Tuesday, saying the U.S. could strike the country really hard if negotiations between Washington and Tehran collapse again. If they back out again, they're going to get hit really hard. Trump told Fox News' Trace Gallagher, they know that. They understand that. I have no choice. They can't have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. Trump said military action remained on as an option, blah, 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 obviously. A hard hit is yet to come, and hopefully we won't have to use it, he said during the interview. Trump's comments come days after he held off a planned military strike on Iran that he said would have the largest since World War II, after Tehran and several Middle Eastern countries requested more time to negotiate over reopening the Strait of Hormuz and addressing Iran's nuclear program. Quote, we're going to have a tremendous attack, biggest since World War II. Is there an echo in here? They called me and said very politely, can we talk? And I said, yes, we could talk. Let's get it done. Earlier this week, Trump said the deal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz and curb Iran's nuclear program was, quote, imminent. Iranian officials have denied holding direct talks with the United States, saying that negotiations are taking place through mediators in Oman. The Associated Press reported Tuesday that Iranian and Omani officials have made significant progress towards a potential agreement to reopen the strait through negotiations, though negotiations remained ongoing. Yeah, it's just more of this. Just wait. Give 1 moment. And then you start monologuing. It's very simple. I mean, you got to beat the crap out of these people. All right, and that's kind of why I was going to talk about the 2026 primary election results, but that's boring. Instead, I want to talk about what happened in Ceuta. I don't know the Spanish language in me. Is that Ceuta? I don't have any. There's no asset for it. I'm switching one out. The primary election results. So, yeah, that's not the one I'm talking about. So you could just take that off for now, and we'll just go back to Fetterman here in a minute. Sorry for the confusion. So, this was 60,000 Muslim people comes running, across the water from Morocco into the Spanish city of Ceuta. And I was just thinking, the Strait of Hormuz, that's a bottleneck right there. That's why they've been interrupting energy trade by not allowing ships to go through that little bottleneck. And you know what else is a bottleneck? The Strait of Gibraltar. Now you got 60,000 Muslims sitting there on the one side of the Strait of Gibraltar. What do you think they're going to do? You know? And so it just irritates me that, this stuff has gotten to this point where, like, even like in Ireland's getting a little crazy about, getting the Muslims out. I think I saw a story about Denmark getting very serious about dealing with the Muslims. And I think that this incident has really woken up Europe to, Muslims, they want to take over the world. It's like, yeah, they do. And the stuff that we see coming out of like Dearborn, Michigan, stuff here in the United States is also an issue. I don't know if you've seen tape that came out today. It's like some guy getting attacked because he was asking a question. No, he had a graven image of Muhammad, God forbid. I have a graven image of Muhammad every day. I just flush it and then it goes away. Problem solved. And so, it just irritates me that it's gotten to this point, and it means that people are going to die. It's because, it gets to a point where like, oh, we're going to tolerate the Muslims coming in here. And it's like, well, we're not really going to arrest them. We'll just, here's a court date, come back. And it's like, oh, stop that raping, because that's what they do. That's what the men do. They rape. And so it's just, it's gotten to this point, but I think that Europe is finally waking up and they're saying, hey, we got to do something about this because Islam is simply not compatible with Western society. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. And if you live in Dearborn, Michigan, and you don't want to be woken up early in the morning because it's time to go to prayer, good luck. In these enclaves, for example, I was just thinking about this today. When they come in, these like set up an enclave, and they take over a town like Dearborn, Michigan, and they do that, and the next thing you know, you got the Islamic call to prayer all day. And you're like, you know what that is? That's Cobra Commander's plot from the comic books. That was Springfield. Speaking of Danny McBride, he's making a G.I. Joe movie, and he wants to do a Springfield thing where it's, an enclave of Cobra, right? And then Cobra expands its territorial, ambitions inside the United States as a domestic terrorist group from Springfield. It is exactly what they're doing. It's like a bunch of, guys in caves like Afghanistan got a hold of a bunch of old 80s G.I. Joe comic books. They're like, that's a good idea. Anyway, and if you read the Quran, it's a template for how a terrorist organization should take over a nation. It's all in there. It's all in there. It's written by a pedophile warlord, Anyway, let's go to the Fetterman story. Fetterman gives Democrats a stinging reality check as Mao praising communists seize the spotlight. The Pennsylvania senators pointed to communist sympathizers, anti-Israel voices, and Hassan Piker's influence on Twitch. This guy, he has my respect. I don't like the way he votes, but he's still an American. And that's why I respect him. So Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman railed against the growing influence of socialists and communists within the Democratic Party on Tuesday, warning that figures such as socialist streamer Hassan Piker are pulling the party towards a more radical future. Quote, I would never try to elevate a communist because Piker has followers on Twitch, whatever that is. But overall, if you identify with a communist who praises Mao and Cuba and for these places, that should be foreign to any Democrat. Without a doubt, that's having an impact. Fetterman told Fox News Digital on the sidelines of the Israel on-campus coalition conference on Tuesday. Piker has emerged as the influential voice of the Democratic left, backing socialist New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani, and campaigning alongside Michigan Senate candidate Abdul El-Sayed as left-wing candidates court his millions of online followers. Piker has openly praised Mao Zedong and carried water for Cuba's communist regime, blaming America for the island's suffering. Speaking with Fox News Digital after addressing the... shucks. I got to go back up. These damn things. Fetterman said the direction of his party has become troubling and pointed to Tuesday primaries as the latest test of whether Democrats will continue embracing candidates aligned with the party's progressive flank. Democratic establishment candidates notched up several victories on Tuesday nights. There we go. Didn't want to make it redundant. Including Representative Wesley Bell's defeat of DSA-backed former Representative Cori Bush's comeback bid in Missouri. High-stakes Democratic Senate primary in Michigan, however, remained too close to call early Wednesday, with Abdul El Sayed, who has drawn support from prominent socialists, facing more moderate Representative Haley Stevens. Yeah, it's crazy that like Haley Stevens is the better choice. I see the midterms right now are more radical. This is a quote. The more anti-Israel, the people who've turned Israel as an ultimate litmus. When you have Governor Newsom describing Israel as an apartheid state, he knows better that is not true, said Fetterman. Pennsylvania Democrat continued to say it's pretty obvious that the party should not pander to the fringe. Those are core values. Like I said, you can't pander to these kinds of people. President Donald Trump issued his own warning earlier this summer, arguing that the Democratic Party has moved far beyond socialism. These are not social Democrats, Trump said in June, following socialist notching primary wins in New York. Excuse me. These are hardcore, godless communists. They're godless communists. All communists are godless. They don't believe in God. That is the most serious threat to our country since its existence, in my opinion, 250 years ago. This is a major threat to our country. Yes, that's true. And I was talking earlier about like Chinese Christians. Interesting. How do you pull it off? And you know why it's interesting? It's because religion, all religion, is stamped out in communist nations. Don't want to unplug my laptop. And that's the problem. That's what the Bolsheviks were. They're a bunch of atheist rich kids, and that's the problem in the United States. All these kids have been taught in public schools and in colleges that, it's ridiculous to believe in God. People who are religious are insane, talking to an invisible man in the sky. And so they have no center of their life. They have no moral center. And so they'd believe anything as simple as, free stuff, communism. That's never been tried before. And the hatred of Israel, it's funny that he's saying this, like that's become a litmus test. It's like, I'm sorry, as far as I'm concerned, Democrats have always hated Israel. All right. Democrats have always been whatever's cool in Europe, because that's what Democrats like to do. They like to go to Europe and be cool around Europeans. And a bunch of Europeans are like, we don't like the Jews. Because a lot of Europeans don't. All right. Because they're insane. Because they've been fighting each other over this tiny little continent for so long. So many nations in Europe. It's ridiculous. So good for John Fetterman. Respect upon him. Peace be upon him. I almost said peace be upon him. Sure, John Fetterman should have some peace. Yeah. All right, speaking of more communists, I can't believe they're going to try to do this in New York. So let's talk about another communist Islamic asshole, Zoran Mamdani. Grocer turned lawmaker says Mamdani's government-run stores might not even last a year. Representative Mike Ruley says the $70 million plan for government-funded stores in all 5 boroughs will crush small businesses. Former grocer is joining the chorus of criticism against New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani's plan for government-run grocery stores, arguing it would harm hundreds of small businesses forced to compete with them. Quote, that supermarket, which is bleed red the entire time it's open, from the time you turn the key till it closes. Representative Mike Ruley from Ohio told Fox News Digital, I would bet the farm there's no way these grocery stores last more than 5 years. Well, if you're betting the farm, not all the farms, is it? They may not even last a year. He grew up with his family's Ohio-based grocery store chain, Ruley Brothers, which is now run by his brothers. Makes sense. Ruley says his family's small but thriving 2-location business has given him an appreciation for the challenges facing small business owners in New York City, whom he argued would be harmed by competition from Mamdani's city-run stores. Quote, you'll put hundreds of these small businesses out of business, and a lot of these businesses are owned by immigrants, Ruley said. So, I don't think the mayor could have possibly asked for a worse situation. That's what I mean. You're even going to piss off your supporters. Mamdani, the Democratic Socialist mayor of New York, unveiled the plan for government-funded grocery stores while on the campaign trail. The city has since committed $70 million to constructing 1 store in each of the 5 boroughs with the aim to open all 5 by 2030. Hopefully it doesn't get to that point. Mamdani discussed the agreement during their recent news conference, saying, once a month, our 5 city-run grocery stores will set prices for this core set of goods at 30% below typical retail prices. While the plan has been cheered by progressives, it has been panned by business groups such as the Multicultural Business Coalition, which the New York Post reported was threatening to sue Mamdani. Ruley, noting that the grocery stores already operate at thin profit margins, said Mamdani's government shops will be likely operating at a loss the entire time. Quote, when you think about the grocery industry, it runs at about a 27% gross. That's before you pay your bills. Once you pay your bills, it's about 1.25%, 1.5% net for grocery stores. That, he argued, would make it a drain on taxpayers as long as they remained open. This is the biggest mistake the mayor has made, Ruley said. Yeah, for sure. I remember, being a kid and thinking about the people in the Soviet Union in the bread lines and stuff, feeling bad for them and so forth. I'm just like, you're going to bring that here? All right. Plus, there's this whole retarded fantasy that a lot of people have where there's people starving in America. That's simply not true. You're going to make these grocery stores, and 90% of the people who are still in New York are on EBT anyway. So what is this really doing? There's not people starving to death in this country. If they are starving to death, it's like homeless people. And even then, homeless people usually die of exposure, cold or heat or something like that. No one's going hungry. There's plenty of homeless shelters, plenty of charities, plenty of churches and stuff like that. There's plenty of food banks. You know what I mean? There's no need for any of this. It's an absurd fantasy. It's like, oh, there's people going hungry in New York. Look, Mamdani's feeding the people who can't feed themselves. Are you kidding me? You got people in line at the grocery store at friggin' Target buying. They sell groceries at Target? At Walmart? They're at Walmart. They're buying a bunch of junk food, and they're 350 pounds, and they got EBT cards. Nobody's starving to death in America. It's ridiculous is how much money that he's wasted on this already. That's socialism for you. And it's not so much that he's socialist, as that he's Islamic, and Islamic people want to destroy the United States. And what better way to destroy a country than with socialism? All right. Let's do happier stories. A couple happier stories, and we'll get out of here. Maybe a little early. What in the world is going on in Brazil? Capybaras crash Brazilian lawmakers' voting session and steal the show. If you see a little picture, the capybaras are giant groundhogs. And all lesser mammals and stuff like that. We all think they're cute. Capybaras crash. All right. The calm rodents wandered through the front door of the legislative building near in Ceaba. Portuguese words. It's because the Muslims took over the Iberian Peninsula in the 700s and didn't get kicked out until the 1200s. That's why Portugal talks all weird. It's like bastardized Spanish Arabic. It's disgusting. Cuiba, near the wildlife-filled park. Brazilian lawmakers preparing to conduct official business found themselves sharing in the halls of the state legislature with several uninvited but usually relaxed guests. A group of capybaras entered the Mato Grosso Legislative Assembly in that city on July 30th, briefly drawing attention away from the upcoming vote as they explored the government building. Video recorded by legislative staffer Naria Bueno showed the animals moving calmly through the entrance while workers sought to steer them outside. Shoo, shoo, shoo. This is official building. Get out of here, you barnyard animals. They show up here quite often. We've gotten used to seeing them. No kidding. The Bueno told the Associated Press. The rodent's guest appearance did not cause any damage to the Mato Grosso state legislature, according to officials. Legislative borders a park that is home to wildlife, giving the animals easy access to the surrounding government complex. Native to South America, capybaras are semi-aquatic mammals commonly found around wetlands and other bodies of water. They're highly social, generally gravel in groups, and each can reach weights of about 170 pounds. The world's largest living rodents have also become internet favorites, with social media users frequently highlighting their laid-back behavior around other animals and people. Yeah, they're kind of cute. I mean, they're not. There's Like, there could be evil capybaras, but generally they're all pretty cute. But, I mean, what kind of, like, seriously, that's some third world shit, right? If you're, like, I couldn't imagine, like, a bunch of, like, foxes wandering into Congress. They're doing a vote, or like a, because, I don't know, there's security there? Maybe there's somebody at the door. It's like, hey, sorry, you don't have any ID, capybara. You're not crashing this party. This is an official government building. So that's what I mean. Is like, there was a time in the United States where you could walk into, like, the White House. You know, hey, is the president here? Oh, I got a bone to pick with him. But now, don't try to do that. Don't try to do that, because you will get in trouble. You'll get arrested trying to walk into the White House. And I think the same is true about Congress. You can't really just walk into Congress. I would hope there's Metro Police everywhere, trying, checking IDs and so forth. Yeah, there's tours and stuff like that, but those people are, like, led and, I suppose, vetted in some way. I hope. I don't know. Then again, they let these, idiots take over Congress whenever they want, unless it's like, a conservative thing, and then they're going to throw the book at them. But if you're in there and you're supporting your Hamas in the Capitol, go on into the Capitol, go on into Congress, take it over. But if you're a bunch of conservatives, we're going to put you in prison for a decade. The January Sixers is what I'm referring to. Anyway, so, like I said, what is going on in Brazil? Rogue Parrot attacks players during Brazilian U15 soccer game, then comes back and does it again. The referee was forced to stop the match multiple times as the bird dive-bombed teenage footballers in Rio de Janeiro. What did you say to the parrot? What did you say to him? Because I wonder if parrots understand words. Because they'll parrot it. It's like, they understand what that means. Like, for example, they probably want a cracker, and you hold up the cracker and go, cracker, You'll figure it out. So do you think he's like, get out of here, you dick bird. And I know what dick means, Anyway. With the World Cup behind us, the sport of soccer is going to need to find some new innovative ways to put the game in front of people's eyeballs. Outkick article. Yep. All right. The sentence begins, a U15 game down in Brazil, which, from what I hear, is a nation quite big on soccer, may have found the solution. 2 words, parrot attacks. How do you train the parrots, I guess? Anyway, according to The Sun, 2 clubs, Flamengo and Seria, Portuguese, were in the midst of a Brazil under-15 match in Rio de Janeiro. That's when something not commonly seen in a children's soccer game happened. It got interesting. As Flamengo moved the ball to a defender, a very large parrot was suddenly more on top of him than any of the other team's player, which means it's not going to be fun when the coach is going over the video of this match, parenthetically. It's hilarious and kind of terrifying at the same time. That's one of those moments where I can absolutely believe the notion that all dinosaurs turned into birds. If pterodactyls were still cruising around the earth, they would absolutely be dive-bombing 13 and 14-year-old soccer games. They would look something like that. You'd think that if a bird lives in Brazil, they'd be used to soccer games, seeing as they put soccer players on the money down there. But this must have been its nest bulldozed in to make a way for a pitch or something, because it hates the beautiful game. That was a terrible, terrible sentence, dude. After terrorizing that one kid, the bird reportedly went in after a few other teenage footballers, to the point where the referee had to put the match on hold. Once play resumed, the bird returned again and brought the game to a halt. Against all odds, Flamengo became the multiple avian invasions to win the match 1-0. At least it didn't tie. Maybe that was the parrot's problem. He was like, the World Cup's over. Enough of this nonsense. Enough of it. I've had enough. Anyway, it's going to be the end of the show. A little early. I want to remind you again that I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. I'd very much appreciate that. Or you can send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio, all one word. And you can follow me on social media at DNALETSAW. That's the word wasteland spelled backwards on Twitter. At SLRobbins13 on Instagram. And Shock Monkey Radio Redux on Facebook. This has been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the Madman. and I love you.
The madman loves you all, from the big to the small.